In studio now is Dr. Alex Apostle from the Shelton School District. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Spencer.
Good morning to you.
Normally have you in on Friday, which we will again see you this Friday, so we'll talk about some other school district issues then. But first, we wanted to get you on and again reiterate some of the morning news that we've been going through as Mountain View Elementary is closed today for sanitation. Talk to me a little bit about this process, how you became aware of this, and some of the decisions and the thought processes you had to make this call.
Well, thank you for the question. We found out about this situation yesterday, and right away I brought in people to discuss the situation. I talked to representatives of the school board, and to make a long story short, there was no question, no decision to be made, especially when the health and safety of our students and our staff and our community members comes into play. There's no question that this is a real issue around the world, and we're not taking any chances. And we will be establishing specific protocols that we will follow depending on the circumstances. And we initiated that process yesterday. Ultimately, the decision was mine, but I can tell you that I received great information and ideas from the people that I was in contact with.
When you look to make this decision to close for 2 weeks, and again, it is, or not close for 2 weeks, close for today for sanitation, but to have a staff member stay home as recommended by the CDC for 14 days, is that something that came from the CDC's documentation or from the state's health department, or where was that number?
You know, I'm not sure where that originated, but that's the 14 days, of course, is medically supported, of course, and that's what we're all following in terms of quarantine, self-quarantine, and so on. So that's what we respect, and that really was part of the facilitation process regarding our decision.
Moving forward with this, what are some of the things that you're looking at to make further decisions down the line?
Well, just like I mentioned, establishing protocols. We have a very important meeting this afternoon with the health department and all the Mason County schools to talk about the situation. And one of the things that I'm going to recommend is that we do establish specific protocols to follow based on circumstances that may come about. Each school district is different, but it would be nice if we were all on the same page, that if you have two schools that are impacted or if the schools are closed, these are the protocols that you're going to follow. We have, for example, tomorrow at, I believe, 4:30 or 5 o'clock, I can't remember the exact time, I'm meeting with the school board, our school board, to review the meeting that we're having today and to hopefully develop the protocols that we need to support in the Shelton Schools District regarding the coronavirus. So having being highly organized and involving the right people in making decisions is critical to dealing with the situation.
One of the things that you advocate a lot is the 21st century learning, and in part of that is, I think a lot of folks would consider that too, distance learning.
Yes.
If there was more incidents reported and a school would have to be closed for an extended period of time, how is that going to play out for the district?
There are a number of districts up north that I was reading about that are closing schools down and closing the entire district down, and they're going to be training teachers and staff in terms of how we're going to deal with this particular issue, which is, distant learning and so on. That's something we would look at for sure, and that's part of the protocol process that I'm referring to. If this happens, if it goes to this extent, what are we going to do to ensure that our students are not losing out in terms of their education? And we've got to do everything possible within our school district and our community to make sure that we're reaching out to kids as much as we can in various ways.
As my son is in kindergarten now and we're starting to learn this whole process, one of the things that is used, I guess, to kind of monitor where he's at or things in his record is the Skyward
Yes,
app.
Skyward. Mm-hmm.
Is that something where a teacher or a district would be able to send I guess, homework or daily assignments through one of those types of platforms, or is there something that is wholly new that would have to be implemented?
I think we would have to investigate all options because a lot of our students, just like in most districts, not all kids have computer access.
Sure.
And so we would have to take that into account. What are we going to do with those kids that don't have access to technology? But again, we need to establish those protocols, and we need to have a plan.
Again, just a reminder, too, that the staff member and spouse are not known to have the virus and do not display any symptoms. These are purely precautionary measures that you mentioned in the message out to the staff at Mountain View Elementary and students and parents yesterday. So there is just an abundance of caution when it comes to these. When it comes to the folks that are coming in now and cleaning this, is this deep clean consistent with other protocols that we're talking about?
Absolutely.
That's already been
our staff internally is well aware of what needs to happen when they go into a deep cleaning situation, and that's why we started yesterday afternoon after school was out, and they're working as we speak, and they're very qualified to do that work. But they are deep cleaning Mountain View. Now, some people called in and said, "Why don't?" And yesterday at our main office, and they said, "Well, why didn't you close all the schools?" We have no reason to close all the other schools, but we are monitoring very closely the situation in each and every school. And if things were to come about, we would do exactly what we did with Mountain View. So we're monitoring everything very closely as we can. And I can let the community know that the health of our students and staff and the community and the parents is of paramount importance, and we will not hesitate to do what is necessary to protect our kids and our staff.
I want to commend you for keeping your wits and your common sense about you, because a lot of people are you're being very methodical about it, which is refreshing. And I was reading this thing that's really interesting about the masks, and the director of the UCLA Center for Public Health and Disaster says that probably 99% of people are wearing these things incorrectly. They're touching the outside of them, which is a no-no. They're taking them off wrong. They're rubbing their face below it. They're scratching their nose.
Right.
They're lifting it. And it just makes them, at that point, it's just cosmetic, where it's making people feel like they're doing something to protect themselves.
Well, it's not normal behavior, and we're used to touching our face, for example, or opening a door with a doorknob. I mean, it's very difficult, but I'm sure everybody's doing the best they can. Not shaking hands for me is very difficult because I always try to reach out and shake a person's hand. They say not to do that, or to be in large groups. Well, in my position, I'm going to be in large groups. So, we're going to do the best we can, and hopefully this will go away soon.
Dr. Apostle, thanks for coming in this morning and just updating the public and us on what you were thinking about as this moved forward through today. Again, Mountain View Elementary is closed today, but all signs to reopening tomorrow.
Yes, it will be open tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.